Between 1563 and 1736, more than 2,500 people in Scotland were convicted and executed on the charge of practising witchcraft. The vast majority of those sentenced to death were women. Many of those accused and convicted were also tortured. I'm Natalie Dawn, Member of the Scottish Parliament for Renfrewshire North and West, and I'm consulting on a draft proposal for a Member's Bill to pardon all those convicted under the Witchcraft Act 1563. A pardon would ensure that those convicted as witches are recognised as victims of a miscarriage of justice and are no longer recorded in history as criminals. It is my view that to build a fairer, more equal and forward-thinking Scotland, we must address the historic injustices of our past. I believe that a legislative pardon would also set an example to other countries, including those where convictions for witchcraft are still taking place. My consultation is open now, so please share your views on my proposals.
Quite surprised. I thought they'd be all on their feet today, celebrating the Brexit Day. It's 6 years, Mr. Speaker, since that decision was taken. 6 years of chaos and misery for this nation. In Scotland, this day is marked with nothing other than dismay, disappointment and simmering resentment. We are a nation taken out of an EU we cherished against our national collective will. We are a nation taken out of an EU we cherished against our national collective will. An EU we cherished against our national collective will, after being promised that that membership would be safe if we stayed in their union.
Can the Cabinet Secretary provide an update on work to educate young people on gender-based violence in schools to combat sexual harassment and indeed intimate partner abuse within young people?
Cabinet Secretary. The Scottish Government wants all children and young people to develop mutually respectful and responsible and confident relationships. There's a number of targeted programmes to support positive behaviour and relationships that help address gender-based harassment in schools. One example of this is the Mentors in Violence Prevention, which tackles gender stereotyping and attitudes. Equally Safe at School is another project. Fearless also educates and supports pupils to speak up about crime. These are very, very important parts of work, and the Gender-Based Violence in Schools Working Group are developing a national framework to ensure consistent messaging on gender-based harassment for everyone working with young people. Claire Adamson.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. To ask the Scottish Government whether it will provide an update on the future of STEM learning in Scotland.
Minister Jamie Hepburn.
The latest annual report on the Government's STEM education training strategy was published on the 26th of May. The report demonstrates that despite restrictions required as a consequence of the COVID-19 pandemic, the majority of STEM education partners were able to continue to deliver programmes of professional learning and related activity. As a next step, we plan to improve the strategy governance and performance monitoring arrangements in the coming months. The aim is to focus on priority areas such as the upskilling of computing teachers, helping to ensure inequalities in access to STEM continue to be addressed, and that STEM education effectively contributes to the Government's net zero ambitions for Scotland.
Claire Adamson.
Thank you. This week, Equate Scotland's annual conference discussed STEM through an intersectional lens. Minister, the understanding of existing power structures and their contributions to inequality is key to intersectionality. So does the Minister agree with me that we have to continue to improve diversity in STEM sector to ensure that we benefit from the vast potential in this area?
Minister.
Well, yes, I do agree with that. Let me place on the record my thanks to Equate Scotland for all the work they do. I know they play a tremendously important role in highlighting these issues. We cannot, President Officer, fulfil our potential as a country. We don't allow everyone to make best use of their talents, and STEM is no different in that regard. Since 2019, Education Scotland's Improving Gender Balance Equalities team has been working with schools and local authorities to effect culture change in schools, tackle stereotypes and unconscious bias, and that work continues to be supported. And since it was established, the team has engaged with more than 1,100 education establishments. This is an important area, and the work will continue.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. It's always better to make your own decisions than leave them to your next door neighbour. And for unionists, the time is never right. Does the Cabinet Secretary agree that from Australia to Canada to New Zealand to the United States, which had to fight for independence, not just vote for it, Scotland, like other independent nations, will flourish with the self-confidence, ideas and innovation independence inspires, able to harness her economy and natural resources, working globally as an equal partner in the family of nations to deliver prosperity for all inspires, able to harness her economy and natural resources, working globally as an equal partner in the family of nations to deliver prosperity for all who live and work here.